Good evening and welcome to Saturday night number 69 of the Speak Up Club initiative by Living Life. Today is another special Saturday night, I would say, with an interesting theme. A theme which I believe connects each one of us right now while we are interacting with each other also. And something that has transformed our lives, so much so that it has started to impact our lives, both for the good and for the bad. But I leave that story of what is good and what is bad and how the world is transforming for us from where we were in the 20th century to where we are right now in the 21st century. It is often called we are in the technology era or the digital era, where the world is changing right now while we speak. And in that context, today the session is going to be about technology and life, two sides. Because as much as we see technology changing our lives for the better, there's also another grave facet of technology, which isn't that beautiful, which is becoming a cause to the pain in our life from where we begin with and where we are staring at right now. So with that in perspective, let me introduce the speaker that we have for today, the guest host we have for the session today, Pratna Thakur. I'll be sharing her introduction in a little bit, but from the interactions that we have had over the past, I believe it's been over 8 sessions that she has been joining us. And it's been an honor to be listening to her perspectives coming from such a solid background of body of knowledge that she has and experience that she possesses. I believe every time she speaks, she adds value to this club, to this platform, and to each one of us, I believe. With that having said, I believe I'll not take any further time away for Pratna ma'am to take over on the theme and carry forward the discussion that we have for today. Over to you, Pratna ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Rahul. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So this is the 69th edition. So let us have this intellectual discussion or interesting discussion. Let us make it more than intellectual. So nowadays, if it is a shopping, it's done on Amazon. Catching up with friends, it's FaceTime, Snapchat, or email. Want to be entertained? Netflix or online gaming. Research if you have to do, hit up the Google. Almost every facet of our life routines can be catered for online today. So it seems very inevitable that our time spent on online is going to increase. It has made our life very easy and comfortable. On this note, I would like to start this session based on this topic, a debatable topic. I would like you all to actually involve in this session, give your point of view, because you have to take ownership. It's for everyone. Add on your values and add on your points. So do you think technology has made our life comfortable? It has helped us to grow in our profession, and it made our life very comfortable, and we are enjoying this luxury. Do you agree with that? I would like to listen from your end. Each one of you have to participate in this session. I would like to listen from all the perspectives from all the sides. It has made our life easy, comfortable. Do you agree?
Just to put a little bit into context, we are not limited to the mobile phone or one
It's
facet of
everything, technology. Yeah. How much are we dependent? So how far it has helped us to evolve and to make our life easy? Aren't we dependent on that? So if you are agree or not, whatever your perspective, let's have some small debate on kind. Okay, let me start on that. I'll give one small incident. I'll tell you, I was there in Himayatnagar. I was located over there. And with all family members, joint family, one apartment, each one of them are living in different apartments, big complex. And it's like a joint family, more or less. Like we would be helping each other and shopping for everything, like depending on each other and doing independently. It was a different type of scenario setup. Then we had to move this high-tech city side because of my son's job purpose or something. we had to move here, Manikonda. When I moved here, all of a sudden I felt that like I am in some island or somewhere, very like completely disconnected with my family, my routines and everything. I started depending on my son, and I wanted him to all of a sudden grow. I wanted him to grow like a matured person and has to take up like a man all the responsibilities. I'm shaking up and I'm telling him, you are so cool, cucumber, like you're sitting at home. Go out and get something. Every time he used to ask, why are you getting panic? What do you want? I said, Arey, we don't know milkman. You should go and, Mama, don't worry. Tomorrow morning you would be finding milk. Vegetables you would be finding. Because I have Milkwala app. I have vegetables, big basket.
I think Pratna ma'am just had a power cut, I believe. So in the meantime, let's carry forward with the discussion. What are your thoughts? Has technology improved our lives, or has it taken us back? Or are there challenges in technology that we are not able to see today, or it's adding to the pain point in our life? What are your thoughts?
Actually, it helped us in many ways during the pandemic, but it has become more nowadays by playing games. We should not be addicted to that. That's the thing. We need to use it in a proper way. If you use it in a proper way, it will help us. Otherwise, it will distract us.
Interesting. Sri Krishna.
Yeah, means I think even I have faced this, addiction to games particularly. If I start playing one particular game, so I think that is a challenge. But apart from that, if addiction part of games, other than that, it has helped me. I would say, like for example, Ola Uber is my favorite. Means in the sense, whenever I have to go to faraway places, Ola Uber hai na. So in that way, technology has did good, I would say.
Interesting. Ola, Uber. I can imagine the times when these apps were and this technology wasn't present. The way this technology, I can imagine those days where I used to wait with my hands up for the auto and then bargaining from 400 to 300 to 200.
Yeah.
It was
I
their
am
liberty.
very poor at bargaining, so it's very difficult.
It was their liberty. So what else? How else has technology benefited you? Bhavagya, will you wait for me to ask? Go ahead. How? I would just like to listen to. Okay, Pratna ma'am is back. In the meantime, I was just asking, how has technology benefited in your life? We are talking of specifics about how it has benefited to you. Can you share that? And Pratna ma'am can take over from here. Bhavagya.
Yes, sir. Well, most of us see technology as a distraction, but in my point of view, I actually consider it as an addition of something new to our gray-haired lives. Well, the recent COVID times can be considered as a great paradigm. Like most of us have been depending on these web applications. And also, let me highlight this debate is still going on because of that technology. And everyone is also present due to this. I'd like to share that one point.
Pratna ma'am, you can take over.
Yeah. So
we have had perspectives from Shreya, Sri Krishna, and Bhavagya. Others can please, if it's possible for you to switch on the videos.
Join. If you have any points, please don't hesitate.
How has technology benefited your life in specific? Rabia, Uma ma'am. Welcome, Shubhadra ma'am. Uma ma'am is back.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening. Technology these days have become a part and parcel of our life, we can say. Without that, life is like impossible, we can say. Because every step we take ahead with, we are supported by some or the other gadget, which is a product of a technology, you can say. So according to me, I can say totally we are dependent on it. And in future, don't know what is going to be. We will be living with machines. Right now we are with mobiles, next will be robots. So people are going to accompany with them. We are talking to humans, we are blessed, we are in this generation. God knows what would be the next generation is going to face with. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Uma ma'am.
Yeah, technology has been a boon to all of us during the pandemic, I should say. I joined Toastmasters. I'm doing my IELTS course now. Just I joined 1 week back.
Oh,
So
great.
advantages are many. Every coin has two sides. Just like that, today we had a debate in Toastmasters too, whether it should be an offline or online meeting. And I spoke for offline because the human touch is not there during online meetings. That is one greatest disadvantage I feel. Like when you ask a person who goes to a bank, an old person, why are you going to the bank? Nowadays you have internet banking, everything
Yeah.
you can do sitting at home. But he says, no, I want to go and meet my friend. I want to go and speak to the manager. So that human touch is lost. Nowadays we have SMS messages, WhatsApp, everything. We just speak over the phone, and sometimes we don't even speak also. We just message saying happy birthday. So when you speak to a person and connect to him, the connection is more happening and it's lively. So we miss those human touch during these online meetings. Nothing like an offline meeting, I should say. Thank you.
Interesting, Uma ma'am. And yet you are in Mysore and we are in Hyderabad and we are talking together for over 60 Saturdays, I believe now. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Yes, Shreya, go ahead.
Actually, on what Uma ma'am said, every time when we go to our grandmother's house, my grandfather asks how to do net banking, how to use Google Pay, how to use Big Basket. He asks everything. And we teach him from online, like medicines and all.
Interesting. Pooja, Chaitanya, would you like to add anything, any of your perspectives? Just for everyone's information, there's a very bad rain happening in Hyderabad, and so there's been a lot of power cuts.
Downfall, continuous
Yeah,
power
we
cut
can
is
understand.
happening.
We can understand your situation, Pratna ma'am. But yes.
Yeah, power cut is happening. Continuous power cut is happening.
Welcome, Chetan. Yes, ma'am. Pratna ma'am. Uma was just sharing interesting perspective that offline is better. It gives a human touch. I also believe that with the advent of technology and how the technology is overtaking us today with artificial intelligence, with the so many things that we are able to do with technology, I believe we are losing the human touch which is required.
And shall I tell you one thing, Rahul?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I must say that whenever we had to take any big decisions in our family, especially if you have to think about your children education, future education, or if you have to think about your properties or anything, alliances, for everything, click of a button, information is available. Now, are we dependent on anyone? Do we really have to depend? Because initially, like, olden days, we used to have in our family, each one used to have some or other expertise. अरे भाई इसके पास चले जाओ, वो आपको सही सलाह देगा, ये आपको सही राह बताएगा. If you want to construct a home or purchase something, he is the learned person. Go to him. So there used to have that what we call humility. You used to go down a step, approach that person. You used to invite that person. You were dependent on that person. Now, if you are all independent, because at a click of a button, everything is available. Why do you have to depend on anyone? So the interdependence is missing in the life. Each one is becoming very, very intelligent, knowledgeable, arrogant. Intellectual animals we are becoming. We are missing out on the element of human nature, dependency. And if you, अरे आदमी एक दर्दी होना या गर्जी होना, you need to have a person who is dardi, means emotionally connected. Garzi means you are dependent. Now you don't need dardi or garzi, तो किसी का किसी से वास्ता ही नहीं है. You don't have connection with anyone. So both the things, who is satisfying? This technology is satisfying. Only in the need, when no one is available, then it's okay. But even if you don't have, our Indian culture is like that. Each one is like supporting to each other, like, even in the neighborhood or societies or everywhere. So that's how we used to develop our human connections. And that is to go at a deeper level, the bonding and connection. It is not only on profit and loss basis. That's how the initiative used to start, and it used to get strengthen those relations. So this is the big.
I'd just like to add there, ma'am. Like I do shop on Amazon. I do get milk from an app. whatever be it. But the idea is, last year when there was lockdown, I had a neighborhood kirana store, I had a neighborhood medical shop. When I didn't go there, while I used to keep going there often, may not be every day, but yes, often they used to see me, even if it was just an exchange of money and kaise ho, kya hai, that was an interaction which used to happen. While the lockdown was happening, I had this person coming to my building to ask, what happened? I haven't seen you for so many days.
Oh, good.
Now that is what you can never expect from an Amazon delivery person to come and ask you, sir, are you okay? Bond of relationship is deepened by the connect which we have.
Exactly.
But with more and more technology we are becoming distant. I'm not saying it's not convenient. It is. I don't deny it. I get much bigger discounts from Amazon than I would get from that Kirana store person.
Exactly.
But the value of that interaction, human interaction, is missing in that part of the world. Over to you, ma'am.
Anyone would like to add on any point over here? So one advantage is we could able to connect the global connections also. So if people used to go to abroad and hardly used to get a chance to speak to them and connect with them, this is one of the greatest advantage which we can say that completely, like, you know, we could develop that global connection. World has become a small village now because of this connections, strong connections. Video call, at a click of a button on a video call, every day you can contact with your people who are in abroad. So that is the greatest advantage we can say. But one thing, as we are speaking, quite often they are also postponing their visits. They say that, yeah, अरे कर ले रहे ना भाभी, बात तो हो जा रही है ना, चलो हो गया. It's like that. So otherwise, at least yearly once or twice, once at least people used to visit. Now they are keep postponing their visits because we are connecting and bonding on video, like, you know, video call. So here I would like to add one invention, like Graham Bell. When he invented the phone, the first word what he used, that come here, Watson, I need to see you. These were the first words that Alexander Graham Bell uttered over his revolutionary invention back in 1876. Bell originally dreamed that there would be one phone in every town. He was right, of course. In fact, these days, there is one in everyone's pocket. He expected one phone in every town, but we can expect this phone in everyone's pocket. But over the period of time, technology has really made us physically and mentally disabled. I am using a very strong word. Honestly speaking, it has made us mentally and physically disabled. I would like you all to just debate on this point. Again, once again, I will add on one more quote. Same. I'm not sure today Sun is not there, so I'm using multiple times because they are digital natives. We are digital immigrants. We are learning from them. They are natives. We are immigrants. So we are always dependent on them, and they are always on the positive side. They never say that technology is a bane. They always say it's a boon. So I just quote one example. We had to go to some place. Whenever we used to go any place, spatial intelligence, like when you travel, when you go to a new place, all of a sudden your antenna would be like alert and you would be seeing the landmarks. Oh my God, if I have to come next time, this is the landmark, this is the post office, this is a something, mall or something. So by default, your spatial intelligence start working and you would be having some landmarks, rough landmarks. But if you see this generation children, even though they are present, they are always glued to their mobiles. They hardly look into outside world. So when we had to go a place where we already visited, so my son, I was kept on asking him, please do ask someone. And do you have any idea? Don't have to work. Google is there. I'll go with that Google. And Google is taking us, and the way, wherever it is showing the way, he is driving it. until we reach to a dead end, but he's not ready to get down and ask any single person. All along the way, like I was kept on asking him, please, zara rok do, chai wala ya kahin pe thero, ek kisi bande ko pucho. No, they don't want to ask anyone. They are so dependent on that. Everything they feel that the technology is going to do. It is a machine. It's always machine. Errors are expected. So you are going at one place and ending up and not ready to ask people. So is it making us, making our life easy or making us mentally or physically handicapped? If they are glued to us together, are they thinking about their physical exercise, physical health? Children are not at all bothered about it. Even for the physical health, they have their app, which would be telling them how many steps you walked, how many things you have done. Why do you have to depend so much? And when it has mental health, I must say that when we used to use phone, I remember still during my college days, I used to have all my friends' phone numbers on my tips, not even in my diary. Especially my close friends, all numbers used to be on my tips. And now I can't even remember my son's number also. I have to go to mobile and I will check it. I feel that what is that happening? Why am I not able to memorize even a single one number? So this is how it is making us, because too much comfort, too much luxury, too much dependency, making us mentally and physically handicapped. If at all you have any incidents like this, I would like you all to please open up. I know that there are many young children here. Obviously, they will not speak on these points because they are enjoying this luxury. I wanted Uma ma'am, Rabia ma'am, or somebody has to add on here some points.
Let's listen. Okay, Rabia, go ahead.
No, sure. After some time, please.
Okay, Uma ma'am.
Yeah, I very much agree with Prarthana ma'am. Those days they used to say, if you can speak, you can find your way. That is, if you have to ask something to find your way. So like Prarthana ma'am said, nowadays, many youngsters, they don't want to ask anything to find out. We have the Google on our hands. Why should you be worried? No, that's the immediate reply which we get. And we are not very tech savvy. So we are used to our old methods of asking. We stop at a particular place, ask, and then go ahead. Sometimes I feel that is very right, because Google simply makes you move around here and there. There are so many ways, one place, and it will be just right next door, and it will make you move around somewhere else and then come back to that place. So sometimes it acts crazy. So if you know your way and if you know how to ask, I think it is better. No doubt Google is very helpful to find your location, everything. But if you are familiar with the place, you can always tell the auto driver, you take this route. This is better. No? So sometimes human brain or intelligence is better than technology, I feel. So always ask and you'll find your way.
Rabia.
Yes, please. As Pratna ma'am told just now about the telephone numbers, contact numbers, I completely agree with her. She might have not even remembered her son's number. In fact, I can add to it and say that I myself could not remember my number most of the time. I need to check again and see in my mobile and then dictate. It so happened recently when I was about to open an account, a new account in the new bank. Then at the time, he just asked me, "Madam, could you please let me know about your number?" I was just dumb. I was blank. I just looked up and then searched for my mobile and checked my number, because luckily my daughter has just feed my number along with my name saying my mom. So I just searched for that and then I scrolled it down, checked my number and dictated. So I completely agree, ma'am. We got used to of comforts. We got used to of shortcuts. We never want to just by heart things like earlier days. People used to have lots of things in their mind. We have too many things like problems we have in our mind, but not the things what we are supposed to remember for, we can say. Thank you.
Okay, let me play the devil's advocate here. I wish to be on the people who have been laughing up until now on all the points which are being said. Google gives me confidence. Google gives me confidence that if I can travel abroad and be anywhere in the world without knowing their language, yet it gives me the confidence that I can reach where I want. Let me give you an example of not now. 8 years ago, we traveled to Europe without a touring agency, only with Google Maps updated in our phone. Europe with just a to and fro flight ticket booked with a visa and nothing else but the phone in our hand, with an app to book all the hotels, book all the flights, book all the places that we want to go by train, flight, metro, whatever it was. Had I just trusted on my intelligence, I would not have gone from Hyderabad to Mysore, let alone Europe. The fact is, it does give you confidence. And these are technical glitches which you say when we are trying to laugh over a simple fact that this place is making me go about round and round and then coming to the same place. Technical glitches always happen and they are always evolving. My point is, how are we using technology to add confidence to our life? That is where I look at it. And if it gives confidence for someone to do anything, I believe it's serving its purpose. Beyond that, now coming to the devil's advocate on the younger ones. The challenge is when we are stuck to technology and that screen so much, like Pratnam mentioned, we are losing out on building our special abilities, awareness, and building ourselves of knowledge of what is around us. You will know what is happening somewhere in Europe with a Facebook post, but you won't know what's happening in your neighborhood. Or while you're traveling from your home to your office or your school, you won't know that beautiful sight which was there outside on the signal, some new paintings which have come out at Necklace Road in Hyderabad, because we were stuck in the app and going by the direction which was given to us. So what we always need to understand is that there's a to and fro of how much you're letting technology override you. The physical abilities like number, frankly speaking, I also don't remember beyond my family numbers. Okay, I'm not so handicapped already. I remember my number because it's for the last 20 years been the same number. I remember my spouse's number. I remember my dad's number.
Oh,
because
great.
I come from the midpoint. The only thing why I remember is because the numbers, my dad's number has been the same for the last 27 years now.
Wow, great.
The generation now, tomorrow you give a free Geo card, they'll be gone there. Because they keep changing so often. The point is, we have to understand how can we still remain human while adding to our comfort. The technology, again, on the devil's advocate part, the technology can give us the numbers on how many footsteps have you walked today. That becomes a motivating and self-driving factor for you to start walking more often. Before I go to my bed, I know if I have not completed 6,000 steps, I won't go. How will I know whether I've walked 6,000 steps or not? A normal human being without technology, आज सुबह बात किचन से रूम 10 बार हो गया. Okay, that calculation. रूम से दूसरा रूम 4 बार हो गया. Okay, I've covered 4,000 kilometers. बस हो गया, आज का बहुत है. But if I don't have the number which technology is enabling, I won't push myself. So the underlying on this pointer of physical and mental illness, of the physical and mental challenges which technology is giving us, always take a step back and see, with the comfort that you are adding to yourself, are you handicapped because of that very comfort? Are you becoming a scapegoat to that very habit you're creating out of the comfort from that technology? Question yourself that. And if you are finding an assertive answer, this is adding to my comfort, yet I'm not a servant to it. That's where you are in control of what is happening. Or anyone else, Rashmi, would you like to add something? Anyone else would like to add on this idea where technology has created a disability in your life or has solved a disability in your life, whatever be it, it could be. I'm not saying, I'm not on either sides. I am on the world of perspectives. I am with that smiling 15-year-old out there, and I'm with that over 50-year-old out there because I'm in between. Over to you. Who else wants to share? Yash, Rashmi, anyone would like to share their challenges or benefits out of technology? Sri Krishna, go ahead.
Though I am young to say this, but actually, when it comes to disability, I agree with one point. See, when we are going to home to office, so this I am speaking about 2013. So that time I was somewhere around in ninth class. I used to study in Narayana. So I used to the school was in Malkajgiri. So I used to go by bus. Was like 16A by 102 Bolke one buses there. So whenever I used to go there, I used to interact with many people. Like they are office goers, that bus used to go with DRDO, and whenever used to go in that bus, and I used to speak to people. But right now, I don't do that. Even before COVID, in 2019 when I joined Sardar Patel College, that time also I used to go in same buses like that. But I never used to speak to people. That is the difference between Sri Krishna in 2013 and Sri Krishna in 2019. I am with my phone now, but that time I used to speak with everyone and I used to mingle with them and all. So that is one thing I would like to share.
Good, good. So that technology is not letting you to see the outside world, to connect with anyone. And even at home also, people are living under the one roof, but all are busy in their own world. And while we access to everything online gives us an unparalleled level of convenience, it has also made us vulnerable. Every move we make online is recorded, and we leave digital footprints wherever we visit. That we all have to accept. Hackers and scammers know this and work hard to exploit it for financial gain. I was so surprised when I was going to social media, Facebook. So usually I get inclined towards that small babies, and I don't know, somehow I just saw one or two videos of small babies, and I was like shocked. Whenever I am opening my account and looking at the postings, I am getting continuously all babies videos. Then I told my son, why is it like that? Then he said, technology has become too advanced, Mama. They are hacking you. They would be like checking. If you are showing interest in one direction, they would like to attract your attention. You would be getting that posting. I am getting, see, some one or two donations online, one or two which we have done. Now I am getting repeatedly some mails wherein I don't even know those people. I don't know where from they get our mail, and they would be sending so and so person is admitted in hospital, so and so people are in need, and so things are happening. This is so shocking. So if you are enjoying the comfort of this technology, enjoying this social media networking, and as you are saying that this big boon during especially this lockdown time, we all have to remember that we are leaving our digital footprints over there. So there we have to be very careful. This is going to make you mentally handicapped. That is also one thing. All the youth has to understand. You have to be careful, and you have to understand the great security advancement. I think you all would be knowing of VPN, virtual private network. A VPN will bypass your internet service provider and mask your digital footprints. Nobody will be able to see the content or hack you if you are using the VPN. So there is a lot of advancement. And if you are ignorant of all these things, and you would be easily tracked. So this is also one of the things which is making and ruining your life and making you mentally disabled. You all have to understand this part as well when we are enjoying the comforts of technology.
Ma'am, Akanksha wanted to add something, I believe.
This is opposing, I'd say, because what I thought was digital footprints in a way are bad, but also in a way are good, because for people who are looking for opportunities for more, for me, I was like writing something or anything. I get notifications and advertisements about writing contests. So in a way that's helpful for me.
Yes.
So digital footprints, while also they add something, add a value to you while helping you with advertisements.
Yes.
Akanksha, I would like to add there. You are seeing the notifications because they want you to see them.
Exactly.
Now the here flip side, I'll just tell you, have, like ma'am said about the videos about kids. Okay, I won't call it hacking, but I would say that when you have your digital footprints, now if each one of you will have your mobile in your hand, and if you're not logged in here, check out the permissions that you have given to each app which you have downloaded in your app. Now imagine each app, why does it require that permission? Because when you're talking of using any app, the digital footprints which you're leaving there, like ma'am is getting notifications about babies, Akanksha is getting about writing. Writing is because there's one very famous statement about social media or anywhere where you are not paying for the service. Wherever you're not paying for a service, you are the product. Your data, what you do when you've clicked on that child video, your information is sent to someone who's selling child products, someone who's creating content for children. When I'm clicking on something as an insurance policy, example, I've clicked on an ad. When I go to paisabazar.com and click on an insurance policy to check whether I should renew here or not, and I leave it there. Right after that, when I go to my Facebook, I'll see a paisabazar.com Facebook page propping up in my news feed. How do you think that happens? You are the product if you're not paying for it. So if you're on Instagram, remember every time they are charging on eyeballs. So if Shreya is making some video on Instagram, the videos that she is recommended to see is someone who's paying Instagram for that data. Who's seeing what kind of videos goes to that person who wants to advertise. That is where and how this world works. So how much ever you want to say, if someone is interested, I want to donate 10 lakh rupees, I won't go searching through Instagram who is doing. If I want someone to pay me for a program, I'll go to Instagram, show me those people who are interested in writing. I'll do a contest for them. I'll do a competition for them. I'll do this, I'll do that. Eventually, I'll ask them to pay. I'm not saying they are hacking or they are frauds. All I'm saying is that you are a product for them. And that is how that world operates. So every time you install an app and you give all the permissions, okay, access to phone contacts, okay, access to my messages, okay, access to my call log, okay, access to my other Google Maps location, okay. What you're doing is you are literally naked in front of that app with every data point of what you're doing in their database to be utilized. And the way technology is even growing, the analytics which we have, tomorrow, if I've checked in at a restaurant, the next day I get an ad of its competing restaurant that in my newsfeed.
Sure.
Because I've checked in. Over to you, Pratna ma'am.
Yeah. So same way, Rahul, when I was like browsing on some information related to sessions, I'm very fond of attending this type of sessions, education related sessions also. So once I clicked, now I'm getting Harappa education, Harvard related education, and at free of cost. I'm getting all that information. That is also boon, I can say that. And I will not deny this fact that I must say, this technology has helped me personally in my own life to evolve day after day, to become more and more confident. I told in my first session itself, I was very, very submissive, docile, introvert person. Never used to feel comfortable to come out and speak to anyone, even to work outside, even though having good knowledge and intelligence, but I was very, very apprehensive to go out and interact with anyone. But I could complete my 20 years of this journey just because of the technology. I was totally dependent. So when I worked right in my first career, like I started my journey at DRS International School, Kompally, Medchel Road. Probably anyone would be knowing about that school, I'm not sure. But they, in the year 2006, I joined there. 2007 itself, they handed over laptop to us. For all the teachers, they have given laptop in 2007 itself. And the journey started from there. So it all depends on how we make use of the technology. It helps you to grow from a teacher to coordinator to head to principal or educator, whatever it may be. So that is like wealth of knowledge you would be getting, wealth of information you are receiving it, and that gives you a lot of confidence. That is a very good side of this technology. But if you have anything to add on, any either you consider it as a boon or if it has proved as a bane, like whatever it may be, please share your experiences. Uma ma'am, Rabia ma'am.
Shubhadra
And,
ma'am is unmuted. I'm waiting for hear from her. Shubhadra ma'am.
Yeah. Recently, I have been seeing on in the WhatsApp groups, like how a robot is able to do so many things. Like, if there is a store where, all are piled up in a shelf, the robot is able to go by the side and it is able to place whatever is there at the bottom on the top of the shelf. Okay, that is one thing. Then there are robots everywhere handling, when a car is being made, robots are doing. Everywhere technology is there. Now, what about our children's, our grandchildren's, our great-grandchildren's future? Everything is going to be handled only by robots. What are human beings going to do? That is my thing. I was just thinking, whenever I see like these kind of things on the WhatsApp, I wonder, what are our children going to do in the future? They're just going to sit at home? What are they going to do? Okay, like you, Uma ma'am said, Pratna ma'am said, okay, they're all good laptops and everything, and we'll be having we don't even need laptop. We'll be clicking something in our hand which is fixed in our this thing, and we just click and everything is there on the wall, and we can see it, and everything is done. Everything is perfect. I do agree with that, but what are human beings going to do?
Shubhadra, I would like to respond to that. 1991, when the computerization, or 91, or I'm not sure which year exactly, when there was computerization happening in the railways, there was a furore about what all jobs will be lost, what all world will happen for all those employees who are government employees, don't know anything but sitting there and booking those tickets with the manual system. The idea is, for the future to happen, we should be the enablers to it rather than questioning it. So I agree what you said, that what will humans do? Humans are the ones who are creating this to add to the comfort. I completely agree that we are getting comfortable, but it does not mean there's nothing left to do. For the world that we are going beyond and the exploration that is happening, there's many things and a lot of things that a machine would not be able to do. And I completely get your point that if everything is getting automated, what will eventually a man do? The fear of that is real. I don't disagree. A lot of people who are into the jobs right now fear automation, artificial intelligence, the virtual world taking over their entire jobs and everything happening. But so was the fear 20 years back when railways was being private, computerization was happening. Today, we are doing at a click of a button, and possibly railways has 25% less employees who are booking tickets than what they had then. But they're not out of the world. They have upskilled and learned how to operate these computers, how to become better. And once you get more time, you get more opportunity to think about what all can be done further ahead, of what can be done by machine. Let it do. As a human, the creative part is where I'm left with, is what I think is a world of potential opportunities which are going to come up in the future. That's what I think of it. May not be necessarily true.
May I add one point?
That is one thing, but if suppose the computers take over the world, like how we see in movies and all that, like I don't know how many of you have watched Person of Interest on the TV series. Okay, just imagine a computer takes over the world. Like, it can stop anything. It can stop the traffic lights. It can stop whatever it wants to stop. What are we going to do if that happens?
Madam, can I add to
Rabia,
it?
go ahead.
Yeah. We can say that, ma'am, yes, true. I agree with you. The point that we are going to be surrounded by machines, and right now also we are with that itself. But not to forget that machines are considered to be half alive. We are the one who are going to operate it. We know that your system is having all the calculations in the computer as such, feed it already, all the formulas are there. But unless you're going to click on it, it's not going to do it on its own. There has to be someone to work on it.
Rabia, I beg to differ there. The reason is because who's being Sadi, sir?
No, I mean,
For me,
like,
whom we are supposed to be like not be, but the things are going to be taken care by the rest of the people. And as what Rahul sir has just now told about it, we will become more skilled.
I think that
We
was a
will learn.
technical glitch, and the loop came in after Rabia. There was a disconnection or some slowdown in connection. Rabia doesn't speak that fast. Okay, the reason why there's a fear, like Shubhadra ma'am said, and I see because movies are a medium through which we can see the future, although not right now, but what is possible, and the fears are real. I completely agree. And Rabia, when you say you need to click a button, no. Today, the world and the technology is progressing so fast that you do not need to click a button. To click that button, you have another robot there. And that is where the challenge is. That is where the fear is. Completely agree that we should not let go of this human element and that control that we have over creating this. But the fear that someone can carry a gun and walk onto the roads and kill someone, there can be some psyche over there who can create something like that, which can take over the way we operate. There's a challenge for real. Okay, let's not get into that debate of what the real errors of technology are. I completely agree on that, Shubhadra ma'am. Pratna ma'am.
artificial intelligence, I mean, that's what is the present current thing which is going on in the world. Everything is done by robots, and everything self-learning. Even the robots are self-learning. So I'm just seeing what will be the future. Like what you said, I mean, you said that computers, okay, desktop computers may have come in 87, but the other computers, they have been there from before 1981. My husband, when he went to Japan, he brought the first computer components from Japan. We still have them in boxes. Maybe my children can sell them on OLX or something, or as an antique piece, So, I mean, you can never say what's going to be happening in the future. And as the discussion is going on, it's true that, I mean, we are losing touch with human touch. I mean, exactly like, our children are living abroad. My children are living abroad. I mean, they come once in 5 years or 6 years. If we have the money, we have to go and see them. They don't want to make the time even to go. They say, oh, now and then we are seeing you on the FaceTime or the WhatsApp. So what else do you want? Where are we heading? I mean, that's what is happening to many of the parents who are living and who have worked hard to send them over there. I mean, that's a crazy thing you have all done.
Yes,
So
Subhadra ma'am. Yeah, I can
yeah.
understand your pain, Subhadra ma'am. See, now in olden days, at least we used to see that generation gap. Okay, it is generation gap we used to find when our children are like getting married and they are having children during that time. But nowadays, when your children are becoming adults or in teens itself, you are facing that generation gap at home. So one thing we need to understand, definitely technology has made many families and lives miserable also. I have seen in many families the way it is creating disturbances, wife and husband, parents, children, everywhere. That is there. But we all have to understand that this CPU, our brain is the CPU. It is having the supreme power. This CPU itself generated this technology. We are much more above than the technology. So if we are in a problem, if we are becoming the part of the problem, then definitely we become the victim of that problem. We have to come out of that and come out of that problem. And if from far distance you look at the problem, it looks very tiny, speak, small thing. As long as you get indulged into the problem, you get inside the problem, then it will not take you anywhere, but at the end you become victim of that problem. So now technology, no one has any control the way it is growing exponentially everywhere, and it is becoming an integral part of our life. So this is not the time wherein we have to live in a very casual manner and let the things to happen. We have to live in a consciousness of our life, and we need to see that who is the creator of the technology. This CPU has created the technology. So this CPU has to work so seriously to take control over the technology, not to become slave of the technology. We are calling Siri, do this, Cortana, do this on mobile. But are we in a condition to call our mind app? Pratna, you are not going to do this. Pratna, you are not going to touch mobile for some time. Pratna, you are going to do like this. There we are failing. We are not able to control our own mind. We are controlling the apps of the brain, these mobiles. So, of course, the technology has improved communication. It has decreased the privacy life, and it has increased that accessibility for the shopping, and it has given us the access for the better information, and it has created good virtual social life, flexible working times, smarter health tracking. But out of all these things, it has also affected very badly many families. Many relations got affected. Many families got ruined, and children's life got spoiled. Future got destroyed. Then what is the answer for this? How can we overcome out of this? This is our intelligence. We need to come out of this, take control of mobile, take control of our mind, make use of it. I mean to say, today, if I am holding this responsibility, it's a huge responsibility. Okay, it's becoming a principal of a school is not a small task. You have to look into multiple things. And then immediately, as I told you today, I had to attend for another session, which was unexpected. 4 to 5, I was packed up there. It is because of that online virtual scenario, I could attend that also. In fact, if I had to go physically, definitely I would have told that it's not possible. But it's because, see, the advancement of the technology, I could attend that as well. Then it is again because of the technology, I could attend this session as well. So, what is the use of technology and how it is going to impact our life? I could do these many things because I could dump my clothes in washing machine, and I could put my food in the microwave oven. So I mean to say, if you are getting comforts, you expand your horizon and you use your CPU, your brain CPU, and spread over to that level. Not only at the intellectually you can help others, you can reach out to other people, show your existence as a human. They are our slaves. She is doing my work. My washing machine is doing my work. My microwave, I am commanding. It is doing its job. But I am having control on my actions, how to expand myself, how to reach out in a one day, 24 hours, how fast I can reach out to many people, how fast I can connect with others. This is what ultimately we have to do that. God has given, why don't we take it the positive side? God has told, you all have worked so much. Now I'm giving you so many slaves. Make use of the slaves. It doesn't mean if you are not elevating yourself, then these slaves will attack on you. You become victim of these slaves. We have to elevate ourselves above these things and put them in the place of slaves only. Then you can enjoy the life and you can bring the humanness. You can call people, connect people, physically stand for people who are in need. You can expand yourself to that level. by using this technology as a slave. That's it. If you have anything you can add on with this point, I would like to conclude.
Thank you. I think there's one point that I want everyone to share their thoughts or reflect on this thing. Technology in general has kind of today, when you talk of especially social media and the connections, it has improved our connections. But on the contrary, it has depleted the quality of our connections.
That is true.
If you look at the depth of our relationships, the kind of connections today, if you go and see Shreya's fan following on Insta or my friends network in Facebook, I have over 2,800 friends in my Facebook account. But when I'm sad, I don't have one person to sit by my side and talk or cry if I need be. That is how situations are. You talk of Sushant Rajput. He committed suicide while having 11 million followers on his social media account. And he could not cry out his pain to someone by his side. Okay, I don't want to get into the legality of it, but the fact is there's so many cases of increased depression in the country, which is directly linked to the increase in the social media, kind of the thing that we invest in and building the kind of hollow relationships that we are having right now. So look at not how wide your connections are. Today, I'm happy. In 1995, when I was in a certain school, I found that friend in my Facebook somewhere, and I'm happy to connect. But I don't look at that as a base to my relationships. How many of you all chat or have conversations with your friends on WhatsApp?
Me.
Me. And that is where the disaster is. Because of the simple fact of what can be felt with a conversation on call or by sitting with someone. Sitting with someone may not be always possible, but having a conversation on call can give you so many signals of what that person is really going through. I've seen someone chatting with me, typing for 15 minutes back, 15 minutes back, 15 minutes back, and nothing was sent to me. And after 15 minutes, I get a simple message, good night, we'll talk tomorrow. The simple idea that while we are by someone's side, a conversation that deepens is possible because there's a human connect. Look at how many times you are typing something on WhatsApp and you remove it and say, okay, I don't want to send this. Not that we are trying to be politically correct or correct form of communication. In the process of that, we are losing the human errors which are happening, and we get to know the real people. Look at how technology is distancing the relationships. Wonderfully said by Pratna ma'am. Anyone would like to share how you control or you are the master over technology? Pratna ma'am shared some wonderful ideas that she keeps the slave at its own place. Uma ma'am wonderfully told in the chat, it's about a choice, a simple choice that you're making of how you let technology be a role in your life. Anyone would like to add anything before I come to the close and share the closing remarks? Yes, the professor of technology is good. Over to you, Akanksha.
So what I wanted to add about human relationships is that I personally found many great friends on Instagram. So we don't always expect the same interest to be shared with our family, because now I can't go and force my mother, watch this show, do this, read this. But there are people who are actually interested in, and I can actually share my opinion with them, get their opinion. So it gets more interactive when you share the same interest, because some people, you can't expect them to be forced into what you like. But when you actually interact with people whom they share the same interest with you, that things get really interesting. You'll get to learn more, I think. And something, I must say this, but India is kind of an orthodox country. Mental health is kind of disregarded, I'd say. And there are many things, many people, especially teens, they think, I personally saw many people disregarding mental health, saying, oh, you're a teenage girl, what is happening to you? Mental health, what's that? No, nothing like that exists. So due to technology, you can interact with people who have the same issues. for example, anxiety, depression, or anything, you can go interact with people who actually face them and who actually came out of them too. Because you can't, everyone around you may not face that, but other people around in the whole wide world, they might have faced that, and you can interact with them too, I'd say.
Interesting.
So one thing here, I'm so sorry, but Akanksha, it's Akanksha, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Akanksha, what I would like to tell, this is even quite often I listen from my sons also, because I got both. So they say that, Mama, there are many counselor and apps available where we can speak to them and they would be helping us. So one thing you remember, Akanksha, so when you are taking counseling on any issue, if right now you are a teenager, tomorrow you get married, and then also sometimes you feel like to take counseling. Counselor would be listening to the perspective what you are sharing. That's it. And based on that, they would like to counsel you. They would like to put you at ease. Okay. That is the temporary time being gratification you are getting from the counselor. That's the reason you are getting attracted to the counselor and would like to go multiple times, because counselor would be judging, listening to your perspective and giving you the soothing, with some ideas and things, you are getting the gratification. This would help you only to get that temporary gratification, but it is not solving your problems, Akanksha. Your problem, a person who is present in the system, a person who can objectively in a neutral manner look into your problem, who is very closely associated with you, like your mother or some other person. Olden days also people used to have problems, they used to share, and the way the parents, they will give you the idea, they will objectively look at and they will tell you, see here you're faltering. Because now teenagers, I'm not pointing out honestly speaking because I've got grown up boys, I'm telling that teenagers, they do not want anyone to teach lessons or correct them. They want to listen what they wanted to listen. That's how online counselors are helping you and attracting you. Parents and elders, they see with the very neutral and objective perspective, and they will tell you what exactly you are supposed to do and how badly that situation has affected you. And they would be there in connection to this situation, even in future. If you come across with any problem, they would be the right counselor, because they know that for every problem how Akanksha reacts or responds to the situation, and if second situation, if anything comes in your life based on your history, they would be the right people giving you right suggestion. So I am not asking you to stop that. I am telling you, don't leave your parents. This is what generation gap happening at the teenage itself. You educate your parents, uplift them to your level if they are not coming, but again, they would be the right counselors. Put them at that pedestal. Because I've seen now in even they give birth to the babies also, young generations, I've seen that. My sisters, children and all, now they are grown up and they got married and they are having children. Nobody would like to listen anything from the elders. Everything they want to get from the Google, friends, counselors. But the pain and the connection, the blood relation and the people who are there having, their advice is coming from the brain and thought, and it is not to please you, but to make your situation better. So always you need to depend on, I feel that I am not imposing.
Thank you, Pratna ma'am. I think, again, yet another time, I come in as a devil's advocate. Looking at the perspective that you just shared into Akanksha, relationships in general are built with over time, with the differences which are there. Differences could be from your age, your perspective, from what you're going on the aspect, let alone about mental health or any of the challenges that you're talking about, finding an advice as a counselor. I'm not limiting to that alone. All I'm saying is that why do we have to go to a virtual space where who we don't know, where they're coming, we don't know, and not build the bonds or persuade if it is not from what you think and there's a difference. The real learning lies in building that relationship by persuasion of what you believe in. I have come to this stand, and this is from personal experience which I talk. On the other side, there'll always be situations where someone doesn't just want to listen. It could be elders, it could be many things. I've always seen two perspectives from my own personal experience, from the exposure that I've got. I've seen the kind of thought process which is there in my, not my direct family, but in the people who I've been surrounded with for a long time. And there are challenges. I cannot live my life educating them. The challenge is also for them to understand. And I cannot waste my entire life trying to educate someone because they are my parents or they are my uncle, aunt, or the society that I live with. I completely agree on your point. The idea is we should not, again, we come back to the same point. The extremes is where the challenge is. The extremes is one, you become completely submissive and let off your thoughts. The other thing is completely become a rebel and live with what you think. The answer lies in between. In between, in the conversations that you have, building the deeper conversations through dialogue, through conversation. If you're interacting with your family, if your parents who are 20 years, 30 years elder to you, I definitely understand you're not on the same footing with their experience and your advancement of thoughts. There's always a clash. But the way forward is only if they're not coming through. How much soever you can move, not give in, I'm saying move forward to see how you can persuade them. Akanksha, let me ask you, after the first 7 or 8 sessions of Speak Up Club, your mom was against you attending these sessions. Bhavagya is here, who also had the same situation. How did you go about persuading her? Akanksha, if you can respond.
I went the complete rebel side, I'd say.
You began with that. Then eventually, how did it transpire? Today, are you in a different room altogether, shut, and that I'm attending this session and you do not bother me at this time? Or
Yes.
have there been attempts? And that is where the challenge is. While you're a rebel, absolute rebel, it can create the challenges for the future of how you get across what you want, which may not be always right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm just saying it may not be a situation where what you intend to, with your experience, like Pratna ma'am was saying, with your experience, their intentions and their motives will never be wrong. It's just that could be their exposure to what you want isn't there. And so the clash happens. But like I would always said, rebel is not an answer. If you really want to learn how to deal with life, make it a point where you are making all the attempts to persuade them with logic of what you're doing rather than just becoming a rebel. Because not today, but eventually you will come to a situation where in your relationships, in your career, in your work, rebel is not an answer. It's not even in the menu of choices that you have, because the cost of that is a large, very huge when it comes to many other aspects of life, where you could win based on your standards, but you would not have anyone left around you.
But what if the other person isn't even trying to listen, sir? Because I'm telling from personal experience.
I understand.
What happened was they weren't listening my perspective. They were like, no, this is totally not for your age. And I'm like, I understand what's going on. They weren't listening. So I was forced to go into the rebel mode because I tried my best. I tried my best.
Okay, we are diverting from the topic today, but yet I hope I've had the reasoning to both Pratna ma'am and Akanksha for the different age groups, and everyone else has got an answer. And I just hope that you're not sticking to what was convenient to you. The idea of perspective is not that. The idea of perspectives is also listen to what the other person is thinking. What is the thought behind that? Does that have any validity? And even if it is against what I believe in, that's where you rise and you get a chance to grow further ahead. So that was about it. Just I had a few pointers which I wanted to share. I didn't want to miss because it's a session on technology. A few ways in which you can get over the addiction. This is something which I read on the net and I have to implement myself, but I'll share it with you because I read it. The few things which I wanted to share with you all. How do you get over? And this works largely on this idea of choice, which Uma shared. The first and foremost thing is to start working on how you are in control of smaller segments of your day. Plan your day where you do not have the access and you are committed that at this point in time, I won't have access to the technology, mobile phone or whatever, however you want. Use apps, use technology to control you from being away from technology. There are apps which auto lock. There are apps which auto lock your phone and will open only after the set time that you have given. So if you're committed to it, go open that app, set a time, 30 minutes. Don't let me open the app, even if it's earthquake, even if I die, whatever happens. Don't let me open. So it's like the phone is dead in the water, battery over, no charging available. It's like that. There are options of apps which help you do that. So start taking on that. Another thing, a very silly practice, but I found that it could be very effective. If you have a rubber band, tie that rubber band on the cross of your mobile, like this, if it's covering like this, not the entire phone. So in case you get a phone, you will lift the call and use it. But you will be resisted to take the rubber band out to get on with chatting, opening the text message, because that rubber band will be a hindrance. And that rubber band acts as a indicator to your mind that you're going beyond what was required that phone for that 1 hour, 2 hour, whatever limit. So it's a good manual intervention to get off your subconscious mind to go back to it. Because for you to operate the phone normally, you will need to take that rubber band without that disturbance. Because while typing, if I have to move the rubber band a little up to type the next letter, I'll surely see the rubber band in between what I'm doing. And when I see that rubber band, it will tell me, you decided you don't want to use the phone for next 1 hour, right? And that works. That is where the magic starts to happen. And start using the phone settings. As an example, go to your notifications on your phone right now. Turn off all the notifications. The reason you actually keep looking back at your phone is because you feel that there's some notification coming. And of the 10 times that you will be checking your notification when there's nothing, only one time there'll be something that you feel. How many times have you been driving or traveling and suddenly check, I felt my phone was vibrating. Hey, no calls, nothing. It is the urge which is operating and not the phone in itself. So you are the servant to that urge to check your phone. So check out and take off that notifications. Use the airplane mode more often. Keep your phone at the entrance of your door once you enter the home, if you don't need it at home. Unlike me, I'll need it always because of my different endeavors that I'm into. I'm constantly on phone, I don't deny that. But I often check out the time, the screen time on which apps have I been. That gives me indication whether I'm using it fruitfully or I'm wasting my time in just seeing the InShots, Reels, whatever is happening. When I see if it's on WhatsApp, I know. On WhatsApp, I don't do a lot of chatting with friends. I do it for business. I do it for a purpose of living life, whatever I'm working on. So if it's a WhatsApp screen time, I'm okay. I won't just keep staring at a WhatsApp screen like that. Don't worry. But if it's Facebook, it's Instagram, I know for sure nothing is going to change in the world in the next 30 minutes that I have to redo and go back and see what my friend is doing. So it doesn't happen. So check out and start using these phone settings to your convenience rather than the settings being using you to their convenience, constantly distracting. With that, I'm done with my points. I know we are already very late. And with that, anyone would like to share anything quickly? I'm not rushing you. If you have a perspective, I'm more than happy to listen. Because we are all about perspectives.
Yeah.
Who's there? Yes, Pratna ma'am, anyone?
So now that it's 10:15, so on one note, Ati Sarvatra Varjayet, there is a Sanskrit saying, anything beyond the limits, if it is crossing its limit, we have to keep a track of it. Like it is in our control. So Ati Sarvatra Varjayet, not acceptable. Too much is too bad. So keeping that concept in your mind, and let us not become slaves of the technology, because we are the ones created this technology and we always remain masters in this world. And this mastery to be used not to destroy the world, but to benefit each other, to help each other, to support each other, and to uplift the mankind. Use this time, use this advancement, use this comfort for this reason. With that note, I think we can conclude this session, Rahul. It's already
Thank you. Thank you, Pratnaman, for being a wonderful host, and thank you for accepting the invite to be the host for this. I believe I couldn't have added value, and this platform wouldn't have had such a wonderful quality discussion, but with your experience and all the experience that you brought into the table. Thank you for sharing those wonderful perspectives.
Thank you,
And thank you everyone for sharing those perspectives and discussing something which is deep within you and many a times not open to discussion. I've left, for anyone who's not a part of the Speak Up Club WhatsApp group, I've left the link to that WhatsApp group. I've shared a link also for the feedback for the session. Would love to hear how you felt about the session, your takeaways, what is it that you loved, and what is it that you would like to change about this session, or your thoughts on what can we do better. So with that, we are up and done with session number 69. Now we get on to the slogan that we have, but I thought this time let's start moving around and shifting the slogan that we have been using for 69 sessions now, not changing the narrative, but yes, adding something which I believe each one of you all can take back from the sessions. One of the perspective and motto of living life in itself is to inspire the next step. And at the end of it, as me as an individual or the person running this initiative, I've always believed in one thing. Whatever be the state of your life, professionally, personally, in whatever endeavors that you are doing, at the end of the day, if you feel that you can say, I am living life, you have had a good day and you have had a good life. That's the motto that I want to start carrying forward from this Saturday night, and obviously carrying forward with the initiative. If you feel the perspectives that we have heard in this session and what we have done over the last 1 hour and whatever you have done through the day, through the last week, through the last month, with whatever is happening in your life, if there is something good in your life yet, and you can see that and have gratitude for that, type in the chat or just unmute and say, I am living life. With that, we come to an end for this session, and I'll close it the usual way, not taking away that from each one of you all. So, thank you. Saturday nights have never been this beautiful for the last 69 Saturday nights now. It's been an honor to be sharing this space with each one of you all for over weeks altogether, listening to your perspectives, sharing our perspectives, and gaining new perspectives. Thank you for the love that you keep coming back every Saturday night and honoring us and loving us. Thank you. See you next Saturday night, 9 p.m. again. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Everyone.